Chapter 1. You are listening at novelfull.audio. August 1991, London Coliseum. At this moment, a wonderful magic show is being performed in the Coliseum, and the audience seats are crowded and cheering. The performer is Shore, who is known as the genius magician. He is only 11 years old this year. In the hearts of the audience, Shore will definitely become the greatest magician in the world. On the stage, Shore, who is still a child, has black hair and black eyes, delicate features, and a very elegant and outstanding temperament. A well-fitting black tuxedo and a tall hat on his head make him look not too short. At this moment, Shore is surrounded by more than 200 poker cards of various colors. Ordinary poker cards are dancing like butterflies endowed with life, with the colorful lights above his head. This scene is very cool. Shore raised his hands, his slender fingers seemed to be as elegant as playing the piano, and the poker cards around him flew up and down around his hands, making all kinds of incredible puzzles, just like magic. In fact, it is true. These playing cards can be manipulated so easily because they are driven by Shore's telekinesis. Of course, the name of telekinesis was given by Shore himself. He is a time traveler who has been in London for 2 years. At first, he was just a homeless street kid. When he was bullied by street thugs, he awakened telekinesis. Although he was just an ordinary otaku in his previous life, he was keen on watching various magic shows and decryption. He always felt that after learning this technology, he would not only be magical but also very handsome. After he had telekinesis, he awakened the system. Well, it's just standard configuration. Don't blame me for the basic operation. The key dog system cannot be used immediately. It requires prerequisites, so he began to imitate the now you see me he had seen in his previous life. From the one-on-one street close-up magic at the beginning, he gradually became the current genius young magician, and used his favorite poker magic. With 2 fingers raised, the flying cards rotated and broke through the air. Who cannot love it? The cheers from the audience were endless, and the applause almost broke the ceiling of the hall. Shore. Amid the high cheers, Shore clearly heard a prompt from his soul. Ding, congratulations to the host, you have collected the faith points of 10,000 admirers and turned on the system. Ding, the system has been turned on, please check it yourself. Ding, the novice gift package has been distributed. Shore was so excited when he heard these prompts that he ignored the cheers of the fanatical fans and the prompts of the assistant next to him. He quickly said turn on the system. Then a light screen that only he could see appeared. Host, Shore, occupation, poker magician, magic power, 20, 100 for adults, skill, flying cards, level 1 faith, 10,000. Opened in succession, level 2 faith, 0, worship, opened in succession, level 3 faith, 0, fanatical, lottery system, 1000/100/10 faith points per draw, quest system. None, novice gift pack, a clemency, a thunder element core, and a random background in the magic world. After reading the system, Shore was a little stunned. Other rewards and settings were all within Shore's expectations, but what the hell is magic? It turns out that telekinesis is magic. Why does a clemency look so familiar? Is there really a magic world? HP. A series of questions appeared in Shore's mind, making him a little confused. How did I, a good magician, become a magician? It's uncomfortable. It turns out that I'm not the only one with superpowers. Shore didn't hesitate for long, and was too excited to care about the occasion, so he took the novice gift pack first. In the system's exclusive space, he clicked 3 times in a row on the 2 silver and 1 purple light balls. The 3 light balls merged into Shore's body together. The light ball of the brain block technique first made his mind clear, and his eyes became deeper and calmer. The core of the lightning element turned into a ray of purple light flowing all over his body, and then his whole body was like being electrified. His hair and sweat hairs stood up, and his limbs shook involuntarily. Then the system started to prompt again. The host is randomly selecting his background in the magic world. In 1 minute, he will leave the ordinary muggle world and teleport into the hidden magic world. Please be prepared. Shaw was speechless again, not giving him a little defense, looking at the still enthusiastic audience below the stage. Although his vanity was satisfied, he quickly spoke to the copper microphone in front of the stage. Dear audience, next I will perform a living disappearance for everyone as a curtain call for tonight. Then Shaw quickly whispered to the capable bald middle-aged assistant behind him. Albert, after the performance, I will be away for a few days, you don't need to come to me. Albert was a little anxious, just want to ask why, because in 10 days, Shaw's tour will have another show. Shaw had no time to explain, he bowed gracefully to the audience, then waved his hand. Hundreds of cards that fell on the ground flew into the air, forming 2 dazzling 5-pointed star patterns, slowly turning to block Shaw from front and back. A few seconds later, everyone heard a bang, and the playing cards exploded one after another, like a sky full of stars falling, and there was no trace of Shaw in the center. The scene was silent, but more than 10 seconds later, all the audience, including the backstage staff, cheered. The disappearance of living people that ended was simply amazing. Even Albert, the assistant, was a little confused for a while. When did Shaw practice this mysterious magic? There is really no mechanism under the stage. Under the quiet night light, the ancient castle of Hogwarts in a certain highland in Scotland looks particularly hazy. Albus Dumbledore, the greatest white wizard of the time, was writing the enrollment letter to be sent out in the headmaster's office. Suddenly, an invisible and powerful magic wavered from afar, and the sky was suddenly covered with dark clouds, lightning and thunder. A rhythm came from a high tower in the school. Dumbledore's expression changed involuntarily, and his figure blurred in an instant. After the firelight appeared, he was already in the high tower where the rhythm came from. An ancient book with a black dragon leather cover in the tower was opening automatically, and the faded feather pen in the silver ink bottle next to it stirred twice and flew out of the bottle, landing on the parchment book and began to write. This is the admission book and acceptance pen that covers the whole of England and selects young wizards for admission. Dumbledore looked at the name that appeared on the parchment, and his pupils shrank suddenly. Shaw Black. Dumbledore slowly read out the name. In addition to Sirius in Azkaban, I didn't expect that there are still descendants of the Black family living outside. At this moment, Vice Principal McGonagall, who also sensed the fluctuation of magic, also rushed over. Albus. Before she finished her words, Dumbledore had disappeared in the tower, leaving only one explanation in the air. I will follow the magic track along the way to see what's going on. Please continue to write admission notices for the young wizards. McGonagall couldn't help but hold her forehead. She finally got Albus, the hands-off boss, to do some real work, but she didn't expect him to find an excuse to slip away. But when she saw the name on the admission book, she was a little absent-minded for a while. At the same time, Austria, Nurmengard Tower. The words for the greater good above the entrance of the tower looked so modeled at this moment. In a simple cell on the top of the tower, a skinny old man on the bed was dozing with his knees hugged. Suddenly, he seemed to sense something, and his silver eyes flashed, as if predicting the future. After a while, the old man murmured, "It's different, everything is different, there is finally a glimmer of hope in despair." Then the old man laughed heartily. Albus, I haven't lost yet. P.S. Although the protagonist of this book has a system, it is also for the purpose of passing the manuscript. The role of the system will be weakened later, and a reasonable explanation and source will be given. Chapter 2. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Somewhere in England, on a fast-flowing coast, the sky is covered with dark clouds all year round, and the waves are rolling and hitting the messy reefs. There is a hidden cave on the seashore, which is difficult to be found. Suddenly, a purple light flashed, and a boy in a tuxedo suddenly appeared on the rocky beach next to the cave. The dark clouds, which were already low, surged, and the purple light flashed continuously. Shaw was thrown hard, and he felt that his whole body was weak, just like being squeezed out of a flush toilet. After lying on the rocky beach and taking a few deep breaths, Shaw recalled a memory that had just been injected into his mind. After a while of understanding, he sat up suddenly. Fuck, I really came to the world of Harry Potter, and I became a descendant of the Black family. Regulus became my father. Am I here to pay tribute to my father? Ahem, this system has changed the plot too much. Shaw sighed to the sky, but he thought that he was a rich second generation after all, and it was not a loss to have an extra cheap father. In the future, he would justify Regulus's name, which would be considered a loving father and a filial son. while Shaw was immersed in the fact that he would have a lot of gold galleons to spend in the future, he was also calculating the problem of the system lottery. The curtain call performance just now earned him a few hundred points of first-level faith value, and the faith value is divided into 3 levels. And the lottery pool is probably different, in order to gain faith value. Does this damn system want me to be a popular person? Now I have 10,400 first-level faith points, and I can draw 10 times. I don't know what is in the prize pool. I hope there will be a big move like a blue gas stove or a fire god opening the way. Shaw was so distressed that he couldn't bear to click the lottery button, because this was the savings he had saved for 2 years. He had been famous since he was a child, tricking little girls eating lollipops on the street to applaud him, and now he was the best in London and could perform for tens of thousands of people in the Grand Theatre. This took a lot of effort. He gritted his teeth, closed his eyes, and prepared to shoot 10 times in a row, whether he was a dragon or a worm, whether he worked hard to make a name for himself in the magic world, or went home to inherit the Black family's legacy. It all depended on this one. I want to be the Emperor of Europe. But he didn't wait for him to click the lottery button. There was a bang in his ears, and then a red flame suddenly appeared, and a white-bearded old man wearing a moon-white wizard robe and half-moon glasses appeared in front of Shaw. Shaw stared blankly at this kind old man who suddenly appeared, and always felt that he was very familiar. After thinking that this was the world of Harry Potter, before he could scream out the words of the old bee, the old man spoke first. "Hello, sir, you are Sure Black, right?" Shore had already guessed that the other party was Dumbledore. Although he was puzzled as to why the other party was here, he felt much calmer when he thought that he had the brain occlusion technique. "Yes, old man, I am Sure Black. Who are you?" Shore greeted politely, and the system immediately issued a task. Posted task: trick the White Devil Dumbledore to send you home, and reward 2,000 first-level faith points. The big boss debuts. In addition to BGM, there must be expert guards. It's so impressive. Shore's mouth twitched a little. This system is a bit stupid and AC. Albus looked at the exquisite black-haired boy, who looked exactly like the other 2 blacks. A trace of nostalgia flashed in his eyes, and he said kindly, "I'm Albus Dumbledore. Shaw, why are you here? Where are your parents?" Shore has been performing commercial shows for 2 years and can perform magic in front of thousands of people. He is no longer the socially anxious otaku and has developed courage, and the system has paved the way for him, and it can definitely withstand investigation. The brain block technique has not warned that the brain has been invaded, which shows that the old bee is still very principled. "I am an orphan. I came here to pay tribute to my father today, but I can't enter the cave. I can only remember him outside." "Oh. What a poor child. What is your father's name?" "Regulus Black." When Dumbledore heard this, he was surprised and suddenly realized. He couldn't help but look back at the cave. Only then did he know that Sirius's brother, Regulus, the Death Eater who had been missing for many years, had died here silently. He used his huge magic power to sense the cave behind him, and immediately encountered a strong restriction. No wonder the little guy couldn't get in, and the dark magic that set the restriction was so familiar. Dumbledore was alert and curious at the same time. What did the student do here? Why did Regulus, who had been missing for many years, die here? Shaw saw that Dumbledore was eager to explore immediately. For the mission, he quickly pretended to be shivering in the cold wind. "Mr. Dumbledore was stunned, and smiled and cast a warming spell on Shaw. For now, he still had to settle this little guy first, and he also had many questions about this little guy. "Sure, do you know why your father died in the cave? Have you been living in the Muggle world all these years?" Shore didn't want to discuss these people with Dumbledore. After all, the more he talked, the more mistakes he made. But thinking of the other party's identity and the sealing of the magic world, he still pretended to be sad. "Well, it's definitely not cowardly and wanting the other party to send him home. My father said that he betrayed his leader, and in order to prevent his family from being retaliated, he placed me in the Muggle world early. I only recently learned some of the situation from the relics my father left me." Dumbledore looked at Shaw's sad face and felt compassion, temporarily suppressing some suspicions in his heart. He felt that today's events were a bit chaotic, but he also analyzed what was hidden in the cave. If it is true, then Regulus is an unknown hero, so his son must be settled first. Sure, you have already had a magic riot, and you can't stay in the Muggle world anymore. How about I take you back to your ancestral home? There should be more traces of your father there. Shore's sad expression was mixed with excitement. He found that the full-level brain occlusion could actually fabricate emotions and memories, so it would be safe to deceive the old bee first. Is this true? Old man, can you take my father's body out of the cave? I want to bury him properly. What a good child. Yes, you can, but it takes time. Can I take you home first? When I find your father's remains, I will notify you as soon as possible. Okay, thank you, old man. You are such a good man. Dumbledore nodded. He immediately had more important things to do. He didn't have the energy to study the strange magic riot before. He just thought that Shaw was gifted, and it was an outburst of grief when he was commemorating his father. Anyway, the little guy will go to Hogwarts in the future, so he has time. Come, hold my arm. You may feel a little dizzy for a while. Shaw knew that Dumbledore was going to take him to apparition, so he held his arm. When Shaw held Dumbledore's arm, Dumbledore was shocked by the electric current on Shaw's body and shivered several times. He suddenly looked down at Shaw, his eyes became very deep, and the inquiry that he had just suppressed rose again. After thinking for a while, he just taught earnestly. It seems that your talent is better than I thought. You are a good child. You should make good use of your talent. Shaw was shocked. I actually gave the old bee a discharge. His expression changed and he asked in confusion. Really? I was able to give discharges to certain things before. Is this a unique ability? Dumbledore's eyes flickered under the blue frame and he said with a hint of meaning. Well, it's very unique. The Black family has produced another genius. Shaw resisted the urge to roll his eyes. It seemed that Dumbledore had no intention of further exploring for the time being. Is this the principle of justice? Looking back at the cave behind him, he hesitated whether to tell the old bee that the Horcrux inside was a fake and not to go looking for trouble, but he had no excuse to explain the source of the information. Well, no one would die anyway, and he had to borrow Dumbledore's hand to bring out Regulus' body. When he returned to the old house, he would ask the house elf to hand over the real pendant for Dumbledore to destroy. It would also be considered a statement of position and a return of favor. Report to Lee. After all, he still had to rely on Dumbledore to take care of him in the early stage. As for the unreliable uncle in Azkaban, let's talk about it later. Dumbledore thought that Shaw looked back because he couldn't bear to leave his father. He thought that this child was kind and filial. His unfounded worries faded a lot. After all, not all the Black family were bad people. I think Shaw grew up in the Muggle world and avoided the pure blood theory. It may also be Regulus's good intentions. Don't worry, I will bring your father out. Then there was a flash of fire, and the figures of the old and the young disappeared on the stone beach. Chapter 3. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Number 12, Grimmauld Place. This is the home of Sirius and Regulus, the old house of the Black family. This wizard residence has layers of magical protection and is hidden in an ordinary Muggle residential area. On both sides are numbers 11 and 13, but no one has ever noticed the missing number 12, or suspected why there is a missing number. Dumbledore and Shaw suddenly appeared in the square in the dead of night. Ding! The White Lord escort mission is completed, and 2,000 first-level faith points are rewarded. After Shaw landed, he ignored the joy of completing the mission and resisted the urge to vomit. Apparition is obviously not something his young body can bear. Only Shaw has the will of an adult, otherwise he would have been paralyzed. Dumbledore admired Shaw's willpower, but he showed an apologetic expression. Just now, he was in the wilderness and could only apparition. I don't know how Shaw went to such a remote place alone to pay tribute to his father. I don't know how much he suffered. He is really filial. Dumbledore first carefully used magic to clean up Shaw's wrinkled and dirty tailcoat, then looked up between houses 11 and 13. Suddenly, he had a headache. He did know where the Black Mansion was, but without the owner's consent, even if Dumbledore, who has strong magic power, wanted to find it, it would not be done in a short time. Swish. Just as Dumbledore was about to break in violently, a short figure appeared in front of the two of them, and looked at Shore, who was touching his chest excitedly. Shore looked at this elf with big ears like a bat, wearing a piece of rags, with wrinkles on his face and an old face, which was enough to prove that he was very old. Are you the young master? You are finally back, creature is so happy. After the old elf creature recognized Shaw through the contract connection, he began to speak excitedly while jumping around Shaw with tears in his eyes. As creature spoke, he began to pound his head on the ground, making a loud bang. It's all creature's fault for being useless. He couldn't take care of the young master, letting him suffer in the dirty and lowly muggle world, but creature had no choice but to obey Master Regulus' orders and not go to see the young master, otherwise it would hurt him, woo-woo. Shore looked at the mysterious operation of the old elf and finally realized the distorted values of this race. The ancient wizards back then were really cruel, and they played Pua very well. Dumbledore was obviously very adaptable to the style of the elves and gave instructions to Shaw. This is a very humble and extremely self-abased intelligent creature, and it obeys the orders of its master. Since you are the head of the Black family, please stop this house elf, he is almost broken. Shore already knew what was going on, so he nodded to express his gratitude, and then ordered Kresh. Kresh, I order you not to punish yourself. Kresh was stunned, and stopped, but cried even louder. Woo-woo, it's all Kresh's fault for being useless, the young master is so kind. Shore had a headache, and Dumbledore smiled. Okay, Shaw, since your family still has a loyal house elf, he will lead you home and take good care of you, so I will send you here. Shore had no intention of retaining him, facing Dumbledore, even though the other party was always smiling and kind, but before he had a skill, it was too stressful. Before the incident of Regulus was confirmed, no matter how well he performed as a filial son, he would probably still be known as the son of a Death Eater in Dumbledore's mind. Shaw bowed slightly to express his gratitude. Thank you, old man, for sending me back. Thank you for your trouble. Dumbledore looked at the polite Shaw and rubbed the little guy's head. Just call me professor or principal in the future. You should receive the admission letter from Hogwarts tomorrow. Dumbledore blinked and left. He had to rush to the cave overnight to check. Some guesses needed to be confirmed quickly. After all, Harry was going to school this year, and some plans had to be implemented. Shaw breathed a sigh of relief and was absent-minded for a while. The corner of his clothes was suddenly pulled. He looked down and saw Krecher, whose eyes were as red as light bulbs, looking at him eagerly. Kresh, take me home. Yes, I'll take the young master home. The happy Kresh snapped his fingers, and Shaw felt as if the stars had moved, and he instantly appeared in a dim room. Before he could sigh that the elf's displacement magic seemed to be more relaxing than the wizard's apparition, an old woman's sharp voice suddenly came to his ears. Damn Kresh, you don't sleep at night, you lowly beast, huh? You are. Kresh wanted to punish himself, but then excitedly introduced a portrait. Madam, this is the young master, the son of the noble Master Regulus, who came home today. Shore felt a little pain in his forehead, and looked up at a painting on the wall. Although the old woman in the painting was dressed noble, her expression was distorted and there was saliva at the corner of her mouth. The kind expression that the crazy old woman tried to squeeze out at this moment was even more creepy. Is my grandson back? That's great, Regulus is good in every way, but why did he send you to that dirty and lowly muggle world? Baby, what's your name? I'm your grandmother, Walgab Black. Grandma, hello, my name is Shaw. Shore didn't want to argue with a portrait that was pure blood supremacy to the point of madness, so he resisted the urge to close the curtain. If I remember correctly, there seemed to be a portrait in the room where the family tree was collected in the old house that was connected to the Hogwarts principal's office. It was a portrait of the most unpopular and mean Principal Phileas Black, who was his great-great-grandfather. I made up my mind not to meet these perverts. I greeted Walgab politely, and then showed a tired look. The family had an heir, and the old woman was no longer crazy, so she said distressedly. Sure, are you too tired, Kresh? Hurry up and take my baby to wash up, remember to use the best Kresh happily took Shaw upstairs, looking at the dilapidated, dark and depressing old house. Shaw regretted going back so early. There was no electricity or lights here, which was scary, but house elves are house elves, and they are really good at housekeeping. In less than half an hour, they cleaned up a clean bedroom for Shaw, and looking at Kresh's excitement, he would probably be busy all night and not look old at all. When Shaw lay on the bed, thinking that he was not an evil slave owner, he gave Kresh instructions respectfully. Take a bath for yourself and change into clean clothes. Continue cleaning tomorrow. Kresh panicked immediately after hearing this, and then began to punish himself, pulling the curtains and strangling his neck. Bad Kresh, I didn't serve the young master well. The young master doesn't want me anymore, and he wants me to take a bath and change into clean clothes. I might as well die. Kresh won't be an elf that no one wants. Shore has seen movies and novels, and knows the habits of house elves, and it's useless to talk nicely. Kresh, stop right there. I didn't say I don't want you, it's just that I like to be clean, and I can't accept you being dirty. Now I order you to take a good bath first, then change your pillowcase, and finally clean up a room to live in. I don't allow you to live in the cupboard. This is an order. If you keep talking nonsense, get out of the Black family. Kresh was stunned. He wanted to say something but didn't dare. He could only mumble and leave. The young master is too good to Kresh. This is wrong, but what can Kresh do? He must obey the young master's orders. Shore shook his head and lay on the bed again. He didn't think much about Kresh's problem. He would just slowly train him in the future. Then he quickly opened the system. Chapter 4. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Seeing that his faith value was 12,403 points, he thought of the pressure he had just faced with Dumbledore. After all, it was because he was not strong enough, so he stopped hesitating and decisively drew 10 times in a row. Ding, congratulations on getting 1 skill point. Asterisk 2. Thank you for your patronage. Ding, congratulations on getting 1 talent point. Asterisk 2. Ding, congratulations on getting the 3rd level bird flock spell. Thank you for your patronage. Ding, congratulations on getting the 3rd level armor spell. Ding, congratulations on getting the 3rd level floating spell. Ding, congratulations on getting 10 magic scales. Shore thought it was a bit interesting. Looking at the lottery situation, there was basically no loss, the winning rate was 80%, and there was no reward for some junk. Not bad. It was normal to think about it. He had been busy for 2 years to accumulate 10,000 faiths. It was estimated that he would not be able to draw 10 times in a row in the future. This time, I got a total of 3 level 3 spells, 2 skill points, 2 talent points, and 10 magic points. This is just the 1st level draw. If it is the 2nd and 3rd level draw, then I will directly give away the god equipment. Needless to say, I really have to take the route of popularity in the future. Shaw opened the system interface, and the system interface has been updated. System, host, Shaw, occupation, wizard/poker magician, magic, 30, adult 100, talent, thunder element affinity max. You are the son of thunder element, black magic 6, excellent talent, white magic 3, transfiguration 3, potions 3, decent talent. Herbology 2, magical creatures 2, mediocre qualification, alchemy 0, prophecy 0, mud, give up, no major opportunity, can't be activated, skills, brain occlumency max flock of birds 3 level, iron armor 3 level, float 3 level, 2 skill points, 2 talent points, level 1 faith, 2403. / level 2 faith, 1, / opened gradually, 3 faith, 0. Lottery system. 1000/100/10 faith per draw, quest system, none. Shaw was dazzled when he saw the fully updated system interface. Why is his talent for black magic so high? Am I a bad guy? I have red lips and white teeth, so I am so popular. Well, let's study the points first. People who played games in the previous life all know one thing: focus on a prominent attribute and add it to the extreme. So Shaw added both skill points to Flock of Birds and both talent points to Black Magic. Flock of Birds level 5, no wand and noise, black magic 8, Azkaban, / then talent and skill points need legendary value. Shaw looked at the evaluation of Azkaban and suddenly wanted to slap himself, so that he would not be assigned to Azkaban when the sorting came. Will he be able to go to jail with Sirius? Shaw was also very curious about the evaluation of the black magic talent of level 9 and 10, but he didn't know how to get the required legendary value. Shaw saw that the level 5 flying birds could cast spells silently and without a wand, so he tried it and waved his hand at the air casually, then his mind moved at will, and the magic power in his body gushed out along his fingers. A group of chirping golden birds appeared out of thin air, and more than 10 birds flew around Shaw. This felt a bit like his previous manipulation of playing cards. Unexpectedly, the next moment, those golden birds seemed to sense Shaw's thoughts and immediately transformed into rotating golden poker cards, and there were arcs flashing outside the golden light. Especially compared with the previous manipulation of playing cards with telekinesis, it was more arbitrary, and the special effects were more explosive. Shaw was stunned. Can it be played like this? Is this the 5th level spell? It seems to be mixed with some transfiguration and lightning affinity. It just so happens that Shaw is more familiar with poker. Although he is now a wizard, he still likes the identity of a magician. Showing off is awesome. It is not easy to let the golden poker attack in the room, so I can only wait until tomorrow to find a place to test the power of the spell of flying birds. After the magic supply is cut off, the golden poker will dissipate in a short time. Shaw studied the system for a while and found that the level 2 value is a little more. After thinking about it, it is estimated that this is contributed by Klesh. I don't know the rest. Forget it, tomorrow's business, tomorrow's work. There are more than 2,000 faith points, so keep them for preparation. He is indeed a little tired today, and the little man's body is too tormented. After Shao fell into a deep sleep, Klesh, who had washed up and changed into a clean pillowcase, secretly glanced at Shao through the crack of the door, and then continued to clean the house. With a huff and puff, hitting himself with a mallet and muttering to himself. Klesh didn't listen to the little master, so he should be punished. But Klesh must make the little master have a clean and comfortable bed. It's not a suitable home. After all, my little master is so good to me, how can I rest? The next day, the sky was bright. Shore slept until 11 o'clock, and was awakened by a knocking sound outside the window. Rubbing his sleepy eyes, Shaw looked at an owl outside the window pecking at the glass window with its beak. There was a letter tied to its feet. Shore wondered if there was no protective magic in the old house. How could an owl find it? It was a very magical creature. He got up and went to open the window. The owl pecked Shaw's arm in dissatisfaction, and then raised its claws to signal him to collect the letter quickly. Shaw took the envelope and wanted to rub the owl's head, but the other party saw that he would not give him food, so it pecked Shaw again and flew away with its wings flapping. Shaw smiled, rubbed the back of his hand and read the letter. Seeing a shield logo and a lion, eagle, snake and badger pattern on the envelope, he knew who mailed it. He opened the envelope excitedly and read it. Principal of Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, Albus Dumbledore. President of the International Confederation of Magic, Chief Wizard of Wishengarmet, First Class Wizard of Merlin's Order. Dear Mr. Black, we are pleased to inform you that you have been accepted to study at Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry. Enclosed is a list of required books and equipment. The semester is scheduled to begin on September 1st. We will wait for your owl to bring your reply before July 31st. Sincerely, Vice Principal Minerva McGonagall. Although he was very familiar with the content of the admission notice, Shaw still read it several times. Who hasn't experienced the age of passion and innocence, holding a stick and shouting Avada eats big melon to the sky? Now that he can be sure to go to Hogwarts, it is naturally a happy thing. When Shaw counted on his fingers, it seemed that this year was also the day for Harry to enter school, and he couldn't help but smile bitterly. Who cares? I would rather go to Slytherin than Gryffindor, stay away from the Savior, and live a long life. Shaw set a small goal for himself, and heard Kresh's voice behind him. Young master, you're up, Kresh has prepared breakfast. Shaw turned around and saw that Kresh was no longer as dirty as before. His long ear hair was shaved clean, and he changed into a new pillowcase. Although it was still ugly, it was barely acceptable. Okay. He nodded in agreement, put on the tuxedo that Kresh had washed overnight, and took care of his ear-length hair. He thought about going to Diagon Alley to buy a few sets of clothes. Well, by the way, go to Gringotts to see how much inheritance he has inherited. Chapter 5. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When I walked out of the door, I saw a brand new corridor with clean cashmere carpets on the floor, the wall lamps on the wall were shining, and the smell of corruption that I smelled before was gone. All the way down to the living room, it was even more tidy, and the old furniture was still shining with tung oil. Although the main color was still black, a classical and noble atmosphere came to my face. I didn't expect that in just one night, Klesh made the old house look brand new. He is worthy of being a hard-working and loyal house elf. After Shaw sat down at the dining table, he looked at the hot breakfast served with silverware and couldn't help but praise it. Klesh, you did a great job. Klesh couldn't help crying with joy when he heard this simple compliment. Woo, Klesh has heard the noble black praise again. I hope that after Klesh dies, the young master can chop off Klesh's head and hang it on the wall. Shortly had just taken a bite of the sausage, and when he heard Klesh's second half of the sentence, he almost felt sick and said quickly, "Shut up." Then he felt that he had received a quality education of 5 lectures and 4 beauties, and did not have the condescending mentality of a real aristocrat, and he might even get a little third-level faith value from Klesh, so he continued to order. "Klesh, you sit down and eat too, don't punish yourself, no matter now or in the future, I'm ordering you." Klesh was embarrassed in place. After a while, under Shore's unfriendly eyes, he sat on the chair with half his buttocks, took the toast pushed by Shore with trembling hands, and couldn't help but want to hit himself after taking a bite. Shore gave him a fierce look and started eating by himself. The taste was neither good nor bad. After eating British food for 2 years, those who know that this country has no soil for delicious food. Now that I have settled down, I still have to consider my stomach. After eating a meal that was not sure whether it was breakfast or lunch, Shaw finally remembered the business. Instead of rushing out to Gringotts, he asked Klesh. "Before my father died, did he ask you to keep a pendant?" Klesh's eyes were evasive, but under Shaw's repeated questioning and orders, he was finally willing to find a pendant with the letter S engraved on it. "I see your desire, let go of your mind, I will teach you powerful magic. Power, status, wealth, beauty, whatever you want, I can give you. Child, I see your heart and desires. You are an ambitious person who likes to be admired and supported by thousands of people. Accept me, and all of this will be yours." Holding the pendant, Shaw's eyes were a little dull, and the expression on his face gradually became greedy and fanatical, but the next moment, his pupils regained clarity, and Shaw muttered as he looked at the locket in his hand. Voldemort's Horcrux is really a bit weird. After releasing the brain blockage, I was actually moved. So I am still immortal after all. Kresh, who was nervous next to him, wanted to hit his head on the ground again after seeing that the young master was fine. He almost hurt the young master. Shaw immediately stopped him as if he had known it in advance, and once again stated that he should not punish himself at will. He ignored Kresh's muttering about being too kind, and he considered how to deal with this Horcrux. Ding, detecting an evil soul, please ask if you want to filter and absorb it. Shaw, who was worried that he didn't know the fiendish fire curse and didn't have the fangs of the basilisk, was stunned. The system also had this function, and he chose to absorb it without hesitation. It's better for Voldemort's Horcrux to die early. Ding, start absorbing. Then the locket in his hand suddenly roared sharply, and large groups of black fog poured out. Shaw felt a cold and evil feeling in his heart. He seemed to see a pale snake face without a nose like a double plug emerging from the depths of the black fog. The next moment, the black fog quickly dissipated, obviously absorbed by the system, and the whispers that had been bewitching the locket before were gone. Shaw immediately couldn't wait to open the system to see what was different from before. Compared with before, there were indeed some more things. The magic power increased by 10 scales, reaching 40 scales. Water element affinity. Talent level 1, Avada Kedavra curse level 2, Parseltongue level 1. Shaw was not surprised to learn the Kedavra curse and Parseltongue, which was expected, but the extra water element talent made him a little curious. Previously, his full-value lightning element talent came from the system gift package, which allowed him to cast spells with lightning attributes. And now the water element talent can actually be taken from Voldemort. At this moment, his understanding of magic is basically zero. But he knows that elemental talent is a good thing. There is a bonus for spells similar to those of the Department of Mechanics. If I specialize in lightning spells, it is estimated that the power is very powerful, and the representatives of the 4 colleges of Hogwarts are not just 4 animals, but also water, fire, wind and earth. This is evident. It seems that collecting Horcruxes should be put on the agenda, and the water element talent must be put on the agenda. Kresh next to him asked shyly. Young master, can't you destroy this evil locket? Woohoo, Kresh is useless, damn it, can't fulfill Master Regulus's last wish. Shore waved his hand to shut Kresh up. Okay, don't be sad, I have destroyed the evil existence in the locket, and you have fulfilled my father's last wish. Kresh, with snot and tears on his face, raised his ugly face in disbelief. Really? That's great. The young master is as noble and excellent as the young master. Shore waited for Kresh to be happy for a while, and then told him that no matter who asked about it in the future, he must say that Regulus destroyed the locket, which would make his cheap father more heroic. Then Shaw casually strolled around the old house. It was really big, and there were many places that had not been cleaned up, which made Kresh blame himself again. Shaw was not surprised, and told him to clean up a few places first, such as his father's room, study, underground library, and spell practice room. Others can be cleaned up slowly. In the afternoon, Kresh took Shaw to the door of the leaky cauldron. Because the Muggle shielding spell was cast here, ordinary people on the roadside turned a blind eye to the shabby and narrow wooden door. Shaw had to buy a lot of things today. Although the items in his house were all antiques and were kept very clean by Kresh, Shaw didn't like Black's dark decoration style and was ready to make a big change, so he had to go to Gringotts to get the money first. When he pushed open the door of the leaky cauldron, a strange smell mixed with various smells rushed straight to his head, and noisy voices came with it. The small and crowded bar was dimly lit, the walls were mottled, and wizards of all kinds sat around a few rotten wooden tables, drinking butterbeer and chatting casually. A hunchbacked bald old man was obviously the owner of the bar, and he smiled at everyone. As Shaw entered the door, some people who noticed him were startled, wondering why they had never seen this exquisite boy before, but no one said anything. After all, those who could travel with house elves were all pure-blood families. Tom, the bar owner, knew Kresh. After all, Kresh also had to eat, and he would go in and out of the leaky cauldron once a year or two. So when Tom saw Kresh following a man respectfully, he seemed to have guessed the identity of the black-haired boy. Shaw and the others couldn't stand the strange smell here, and quickly crossed the crowd to the entrance of Diagon Alley. After he left, someone said to Tom, "Old Tom, I think you know the black-haired boy from before. Whose pure-blooded young master is this? How dare he come to Diagon Alley alone?" Old Tom laughed. "It is indeed a young master of a pure-blood family. He should be a new student of Hogwarts this year, and this person has a particularly noble bloodline. Some people who took advantage of him in the past will be unlucky." Others continued to ask, but old Tom kept silent, only saying that everyone would know soon. Chapter 6. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Entrance to Diagon Alley. When Shore saw Kresh point a few points on a wall, he immediately saw the famous scene in the Harry Potter world. The brick wall split in the middle and rolled to both sides like a roller. The stacked bricks seemed to come alive like building blocks. It was so stress-relieving. Shore was excited. His inspiration burst out. He simulated the scene with playing cards in his mind, which felt even cooler. After an arch appeared on the wall, a cobblestone street was revealed, winding forward until it could not be seen. There were all kinds of shops on both sides of the street, many of which were Victorian architectural styles from hundreds of years ago or even longer, and those strange window display cabinets sold cauldrons, pets, and books. People wearing wizard hats walked through the streets. This medieval style made Shore dumbfounded. Although magic is amazing, the magic world is still too closed. Some thoughts quietly formed in his heart. Shore and Kresh looked at the strange shops on both sides casually, and came to a striking snow-white building. Master, this is Gringotts. Since Shaw destroyed the Slytherin locket and fulfilled Regulus's last wish, Kresh changed his name to Shaw as Master, removing the word little. Shaw looked at the building of Gringotts, which was much taller than the surrounding buildings. In front of the shiny bronze gate, there stood goblins in crimson and golden uniforms, with a full array. Sure enough, it's the same in any world. Banks are the most arrogant, he also complained in his heart whether the wizard's brains were all pumped. Why should this economic lifeline be handed over to the aliens? Later, he realized that this was something he had to do. Shaw ignored the warnings at the gate and walked directly into the luxurious marble hall. Seeing the high service counters on both sides, he had to look up, which made him feel even more uncomfortable. This arrangement definitely hinted at some of the goblin's thoughts. He was still weak now, and it was not his turn to take care of such things. Shaw did not make any extra movements, just remained elegant. At least he could not lose his momentum. Klesh took out a key from his pocket and said arrogantly to an old goblin who was weighing gems with a scale. The young master of the Black family is here to withdraw money, vault number 666. The old goblin raised his head, leaned forward, and adjusted his gold-rimmed glasses with his hand. After seeing the black-haired Shaw clearly, he said regretfully. It's been more than 10 years, how come the Black family has another heir? The old goblin looked painful, as if their wealth had been robbed. This is indeed possible. If Sirius in Azkaban does not come out and die in it, the Black family's vault will become ownerless, and in disguise it will become the property of the goblins. After hundreds of years, no one will have any objection to the goblins taking it out. They have done this once or twice. Shaw was very unhappy, especially unhappy. He took out his little notebook. Forget it, it seems that there are too many small goals set today. After that, he followed a goblin named Griphook all the way to the entrance of the basement through a narrow stone passage, and then sat on the crazy electric track that made people unable to stop. Then there were all kinds of left and right turns, like spinning in a maze. Shaw couldn't open his eyes because of the strong wind. He thought this might also be a preventive measure. If he couldn't see, he naturally couldn't remember the route. The goblins are so damn cunning. He thought of using an armor spell to block the wind, but it failed because he couldn't concentrate. Shaw was increasingly dissatisfied with the experience of withdrawing money from Gringotts. Wasn't it agreed that the depositors were the bosses? When he was about to vomit, the car slowly stopped in front of a vault platform, and a roar of a dragon came from above his head. Shaw knew it was a tamed fire dragon that was imprisoned. Griphook took the vault key handed over by Kresh, and after a while of operation, the dark and heavy door of the vault made a mechanical bite sound, and then slowly opened, revealing a burst of golden light. Shaw looked inside and swallowed his saliva. His expression was like the protagonist in The Richest Tomato seeing 1 billion cash. I am indeed a big shot, I've made a fortune. Shaw was not the only one who swallowed his saliva. Griphook, who helped open the door, drooled from the corner of this goblin's mouth and fell to the ground. The greed in his eyes was very creepy. Shaw calmed down after a long time. It's not that he is useless. Anyone who has been poor for a long time will look like this when he becomes rich. Klesh was the most indifferent. He stretched out his hand to pull the ring aside, then bowed and invited Shaw. Master, please come in. Shaw took a deep breath and walked inside. In the middle of the vault, there was a mountain of he couldn't open his eyes because of the gold galleons. All kinds of alchemical products and precious alchemical materials with magical aura were placed on the large iron cabinets around him, and there was a large ebony wooden box in the innermost. Kresh, how many gold galleons do you think are here? Master, I don't know either. I estimate that there are at least 200,000 or 300,000 gold galleons. Ha! Shaw couldn't help but take another breath. He knew the purchasing power of gold galleons in the magic world. The salary of an average employee in the Ministry of Magic is about 50 to 100 gold galleons per month. Just like the Weasley family, Arthur Weasley worked in the Muggle Abuse Department of the Ministry of Magic, and his monthly salary of 60 galleons could support a large family. For example, at Ollivander's, a wand, which is a must-have for wizards, is only 7 galleons. Even without the student discount, it is no more than 15 galleons at most. No wonder Sirius didn't even blink when he gave Harry Potter a Christmas gift of thousands of gold galleons for a firebolt. Shaw waved his hand arrogantly. Kresh, pack money. First pack a few thousand for pocket money. Kresh had no objection, and began to pack money with the pocket he brought from the old house with the traceless stretch spell. Shaw didn't know much about alchemical products, so he went to the innermost to see what was in the big wooden box. After opening the wooden box and counting it, he finally knew what good things were in the wooden box. They were all magic contracts, some of which Shaw couldn't understand at all. Some were in foreign languages, and some seemed to be runes. Shaw read through the ones he could understand, including shops, real estates, and some covenants with other pure-blood families. The industry is divided into full shares and shares. Commercial areas such as Diagon Alley, some remote magic potion planting areas, dragon breeding areas, etc., all have the Black family's shares and dividends, and some are even full shares. The Black family is also a shareholder in broom companies such as Nimbus, Flying Sky, and Sideswipe. The most important thing is a contract for a seat on the Hogwarts Board of Directors. Chapter 7. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Shaw was excited for a while, thinking that he not only had a mountain of gold, but also a large industry to inherit, but after studying for a while, he found that many contracts had expired, including the seat of Hogwarts director that he valued the most. Shaw's face was gloomy, and he had the answer in his heart. A family lost its direct heir, and those jealous crocodiles would naturally pounce on it to bite and share the food. The participants in this are probably all those pure-blood families who are all related. It is estimated that the Ministry of Magic is the most ruthless one. Shaw sorted out the expired and valid contracts, and remembered the contract information that could be remembered. He calculated it in his mind. Some things are not urgent. He needs time to develop, so he should be steady and not waste time. Kresh came over with a purse. Master, the money is ready. Shaw closed the box, then took out several alchemical products from the family collection, a brooch that could release a powerful armor spell in an emergency, a necklace that could protect the mind from being invaded, and a ring with a permanent traceless stretch spell. He went out to the vault with Kresh, and saw Griphook waiting outside the vault, still craning his neck to look inside. Kresh pushed Griphook hard. What are you looking at? These are all the wealth of the Black family. Half an hour later, Shaw walked out of Gringotts and thought for a while. Let's go and order some clothes that fit us first. Kresh has some too. The elves of a big family also need some appearance. You can't lose Black's face. Kresh, who wanted to refuse, heard the second half and thought that it was not the master who gave the clothes personally, and immediately straightened his back. Diagon Alley is very busy today, and the students of Hogwarts are basically concentrated on shopping in these few days. Shaw also saw a 3-meter-tall man with a thin boy from a distance. They must be Hagrid and Harry. He did not go forward to say hello. He had a lot of things to do and had no intention of getting involved in the Savior's training plan. He went to Flourish and Blott's bookstore to buy textbooks first, and then came to Madame Malkin's robe shop. The fat Madame Malkin enthusiastically measured his height data. Shaw made a lot of requests. With money as the way, Madame Malkin promised that it would be done soon. Shaw thought about it and had no desire to visit those shabby shops, so he prepared to wait here. So he asked Kresh to buy other school supplies and furniture decorations, only the most expensive ones instead of the most suitable ones. Bored, Shaw took out the first-grade book Standard Spells from the ring, sat down in the corner and started to look through the book. Dad, buy me a broom. Even a Nimbus 1700 will do. I can bring it into school secretly. No, it's too dangerous. Draco, you're still too young. I'll buy you one after you're in the 2nd grade. Baby, stop making trouble. Let's buy school uniforms first. Be good. When Shaw was watching intently, he heard the conversation between 2 men and a woman, and glanced at the 3 people in luxurious clothes, with the iconic platinum hair color and arrogant demeanor. Shaw knew who the visitor was with his toes. His eyes turned cold, remembering that the Malfoy family also had a share in those invalid contracts. Not to mention himself, Sirius was not dead yet. Although he knew that everyone had different positions, Shaw, as the head of the Black family, was not a saint with high morals. After seeing his own property being embezzled, he would still stand in a neutral position and say, if Narcissa doesn't take it, someone else will take it. I understand it very well. He had no intention of going forward to acknowledge his relatives, as some accounts were not something that needed to be settled immediately. "Hey, kid, are you also going to Hogwarts?" Shore wanted to concentrate on studying and improving his strength, but trouble still came to him. He looked up at Draco standing on the bench. The Malfoys had already left, and Draco, his cheap cousin, was the only one left. The other party continued to speak in a slow tone. "I'm asking you a question. Are you a mute? The noble Malfoy is asking questions, and it's your honor to answer me." Shore felt that Draco was simply a mentally retarded person, and ignored this spoiled little brat. Seeing that the black-haired boy still ignored him, Draco got angry, so he jumped off the stool and walked to Shaw, holding his chin high and preparing to continue chatting, but the next moment, dozens of golden cards appeared out of thin air around the black-haired boy, making the shop sparkle. The cards flew up and down, which scared Draco, then the cards flew towards Draco, knocking him back. The terrified Draco fell to the ground, and the cards exploded above his head. Shaw just wanted to scare the other party, and he controlled the power of the flying birds very well. Ah. Don't come over here. I won't tell my dad. You are finished. I will put you in Azkaban, wool. Draco cried and cried. His combed back hair was messed up, and the arcs of electricity in and out of the spell made the platinum hair stand up. Draco's tears fell down at this moment, and his image was very funny, and his aristocratic temperament was gone. Oh my God, silent and wandless spells, are these the freshmen of this year? Just then, a giant and a thin boy walked in from the door. They were Hagrid and Harry. Hagrid was embarrassed to see that no one answered him, and Harry was also shocked by the flock of birds just now, so he couldn't help asking Hagrid. "What is silent and wandless spells?" Hagrid scratched his head. "Harry, that is a very powerful spellcasting method. Most adults can't do this step. The boy reading the book is really powerful." "Cool. Harry, you have great talent. If you study hard after school, you will definitely be able to do it." Hagrid called Madame Malkin to measure Harry's body size, and then went out to buy other school supplies for Harry. Madame Malkin comforted Draco for a while. Harry kept looking at Shaw in the corner and Draco, who was still muttering, "I want my dad to deal with you." After Madame Malkin measured Harry's body size, she went to the backstage to work. Today's business was really good. Shaw naturally saw Harry Potter, but he still had the same attitude as before and didn't want to go up and make friends. But the next moment, ding, the main task is released. Grab the reputation of the savior. First ring, stop the Dark Lord who parasitizes Quirrell from stealing the Philosopher's Stone. Task reward, 10,000 level 1 faith points and a little legendary value. Shaw was stunned. The dog system is really a dog. This is to make him and Harry Potter compete with each other. But the rewards are still very rich, especially the legendary value is very tempting. After careful consideration, he didn't need to keep an eye on the plot all the time. He could just intervene at the critical moment, but even if there is a task, Shaw didn't want to intervene immediately. His strength is not enough. If he wants to intercept, he has to take it slowly. "Are you Harry Potter?" As if he had forgotten the lesson just now, Draco, who had calmed down, asked Harry again in a slow tone. Harry was still a timid boy at this time, and he answered weakly by pulling the corner of his clothes. "Yes." Draco's eyes flashed with excitement, and he stepped forward and stretched out his hand, slightly raised his head, and said in a tone that was still annoying. "Hello, I am the noble Malfoy. You can call me Draco. I think we can be friends." Harry was a little overwhelmed, but he shook hands with Draco politely. Draco turned his head to look at Shaw again. He wanted to show off that he had made a friend in the boy who lived, but he didn't dare to say anything after stammering a few times. But as a descendant of a pure-blood family, he was still very clear about the value of being able to cast spells silently and without a wand. He had never seen his father perform it, so Draco still wanted to make a friend with a talent like Shaw. After all, his father taught him the benefits of making friends with strong people. Just then, Madame Malkin opened the curtains and said to Shaw with a flattering face, "Master Black, your custom clothes and school uniforms are ready, as well as the elf's butler uniform, which is 300 galleons." Shaw closed the book and put it in the ring, stood up and took a pile of clothes, put more than 10 pieces of clothes into the ring, and then paid for it. this scene stunned the two boys next to him again. Even if Draco was from the Malfoy family, he would not have much money at his disposal. Draco, who was stunned again, suddenly thought of something and asked stutteringly. You are from the Black family? Why haven't I heard of it? Shore turned around with a playful look on his face and patted Draco's shoulder. Little cousin, there are still many things you don't know. By the way, say hello to Aunt Narcissa for me. After that, Shaw pushed the door and walked out in a chic manner. Harry felt that Shaw's temperament and demeanor were really handsome. Draco, are you related to that boy? Draco slowly came back to his senses. Well, if his last name is Black, then he is indeed my cousin, but doesn't the Black family have an heir? How come there is suddenly such a powerful guy? Are all children from pure-blood families so powerful? Ahem, this, of course, I am also powerful. Well, you are not bad either, you are the one who defeated the Dark Lord. Draco said a little unconfidently, he didn't have the heart to talk to the savior at this time. After taking the clothes sent by Madame Malkin, he hurried to find his parents. He wanted to tell them the news as soon as possible, and Harry suddenly became a little unconfident. When he came to Diagon Alley, everyone was amazed at him. His status made him feel a little proud. After all, the environment he grew up in really made him feel inferior, but now I know, is this what a true genius boy is like? Chapter 8. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After Shaw left, he came to the arms store in Diagon Alley alone. Ollivander's store was small and shabby, the broken door creaked in the breeze, and the golden sign on the door had peeled off. It read, Ollivander, making fine wands since 382 BC, in the dusty window. A wand was placed alone on the dusty purple cushion. Shaw pushed the door open and entered, and there were bursts of dinging sounds in the house. Before he could observe this small shop filled with narrow boxes, an old man sitting on a floating chair floated out mysteriously. The old man was very sloppy, with messy gray hair, but a pair of silver eyes were very bright, and he asked in a soft voice. Good morning, sir. Are you a new student going to Hogwarts? Oh, black hair and black eyes, black purity, you are the little one of the Black family. It has been more than 20 years, and Black finally has a new student going to Hogwarts. Ollivander talked to himself, with a face full of nostalgia. Shore couldn't help but admire him, his memory was really good, and the other party's charlatan temperament was full of 10. Hello, sir, I am Shaw Black, I need to buy a wand. Yes, the wand chooses the wizard, and every wizard also needs a companion to accompany him throughout his life. Ollivander took out a measuring tape. Which arm do you use? Right hand. Okay, raise your arm. Shore looked at the test paper and measured the arms, shoulders, hips, thighs and other parts in turn, which was very confusing. Thinking that they were professionals, Shaw did not ask any questions. Moreover, from the short videos he had seen before, this operation seemed to predict how tall a newborn would grow in the future, so as to match the length of the wand that could be used for a lifetime. Although it was unscientific, it was very magical. Then Ollivander returned to the shelf, selected a long box from it, and said after opening it carefully. The combination of holly and unicorn symbolizes purity and nobility. 11.2 inches, I think it should be very suitable for you. You can wave it gently. Shore took out the wand from the long box, and before he could wave the wand gently, Ollivander took the wand. No, I heard the wand wailing. It seems that you are a picky little guy. Shore was speechless. Ollivander lowered his head and pondered for a while, then returned to the shelf to get a long box. Ebony, dragon heartstring, 12 inches. The person who uses it is tough, ambitious, and powerful. You try it. Shore didn't want to complain about Ollivander's comments. He reached out to take the wand and waved it gently. A purple light exploded at the tip of the wand, and the wand began to break into pieces the next moment. Oh. No. What did you do? You killed it, Shore said arrogantly. Do some people read novels without reading resumes? The protagonist is an ordinary person. In the early stage, he was poor and rich. It is reasonable for him to be a little arrogant. The real aristocratic temperament is cultivated, not taken for granted. It takes time to grow. How much is it? I will pay it. Just tell me if you have a wand suitable for me. You don't need to take out the ordinary ones. After Shaw finished speaking, he felt a little bit floating, but this feeling was so good that he was not going to change it. He had been poor for so long and had a dream. When he had money, he would buy 2 ice creams and throw one away. As for the elegant temperament of the nobility, no one is born with it, and it must be cultivated slowly. Who said this is ordinary? All of mine are exquisite. Ollivander was heartbroken, but his doubts and solemnity were even worse. He had a wide range of experience and saw that Shaw's magic power was extraordinary, even with lightning. My Ollivander family has a long heritage. How could there be no wand suitable for you? Ollivander returned to the depths of the shelf again with a snort, and came out after a long time. This time he obviously rummaged through the bottom of the warehouse. Try this one, lightning-struck mahogany, with a thunderbird tail feather core, 12 inches. This is a piece of lightning-struck wood that my great-grandfather accidentally got when he traveled in the East. The age of the wood is untraceable. This wand is only accepted by genius wizards who are not afraid of the law and become stronger when facing strong opponents. Shore looked at this red and black wand with purple and blue halos, and fell in love with it immediately. When he took the wand, before he could activate the magic power, purple arcs immediately spurted out from the tip of the wand, and dark clouds began to form on the roof. Ollivander's gray hair stood up due to the static electricity in the air. Although he was very excited, he hurriedly said, "Oh God, it's a match made in heaven. You two are so well matched. Hurry up and calm your wand. Do you want me to become a thunderstorm area?" Shore nodded and gently stroked the wand, and the strange phenomenon in the house disappeared instantly. "Sir, how much is it?" "Oh, and the one I just destroyed is also included." Ollivander shook his head. Shake his head. 7 galleons, the wand was destroyed because I didn't look at it carefully, not you. Shore didn't hesitate, and after politely thanking him, he paid and left. Ollivander sighed as he watched the black-haired exquisite boy leave. Another gifted wizard, I don't know if it will be a blessing or a curse for the magic world. Shore went out of the store, thinking about all sorts of things, and called Kresh, and then the house elf appeared and asked him to take him to Chinatown. He made another big purchase, and called the magic assistant on a pay phone, and after explaining some things, he returned to the old house. The next step was a major renovation of the house, replacing the wall lamps, chandeliers, carpets, ornaments, etc. with new items that Kresh had bought in Diagon Alley before. The master and servant worked for an hour, and the black old house was finally truly brand new, no longer as lifeless as before. During this period, the crazy grandmother in the portrait was very dissatisfied, but she only nagged a few words. This lady is no longer crazy now. After all, the black bloodline can continue, and she has begun to play the role of a kind and benevolent grandmother. In the kitchen, the stove is full of various seasonings and ingredients, and all kinds of spices are available. Before killing those chickens and ducks in the future, bleed them first. Before putting any meat into the pot, you have to boil it in boiling water for a while. Remember to put some ingredients called ginger in the boiling water to remove the fishy smell. Kresh, today I will teach you to make a few home-cooked dishes: twice cooked pork, lion head, mapo tofu. Unfortunately, Lao Ganma has not been exported to England yet. Throw away the sardines and other things. Shore taught Kresh to cook Chinese dishes tirelessly. He never wanted to eat the so-called looking up at the sky again. The house elf is indeed an all-round servant. He remembered everything after watching Shaw cook it once, and he was very good at housekeeping magic, so he could copy those Chinese dishes faster and better. Shaw actually only knew some home cooking. After teaching Kresh, he gave him a stack of Chinese recipes and asked him to study them slowly in the future. He told him to try the ingredients freely because he had money. In the restaurant, Shaw ate and drank at the big table. Kresh refused to sit down again, so Shaw had to set up a small table for him in the corner. Kresh was so moved that he blew snot bubbles while eating delicious food. For a while, the atmosphere between the master and the servant was unusually harmonious. Suddenly, Klesh stood up and said with an unusually nervous look. "Master, the protective magic has been triggered." Shaw dropped the silver fork and walked quickly to the window. He saw 7 or 8 wizards holding wands standing in the square. Judging from their clothes, they should be aurors. These aurors were working together to cast a spell, testing the protective magic of their old house. Shaw knew that it was because he appeared in Diagon Alley during the day that the aurors were attracted. These people were naturally not here to arrest him, but to catch Regulus, the Death Eater. The wanted order for Regulus has not been revoked so far. Although he is dead, these aurors must at least take Shaw back to the Ministry of Magic to participate in the investigation. Shaw was not panicked. Guilty, he came to the gate calmly and said loudly to the leading auror. "I don't know why you attacked my house." That the leading auror looked very rough, and he walked forward with a slightly lame step. "We received a report that there are Death Eaters hiding here. Please open the protection and let us go into search." Shaw's face turned cold. Report? Whose report? And do you have a search warrant?" That the leading auror choked. He came in a hurry and really didn't have a search warrant. "Don't worry about who reported you. Don't think I don't know who you are. You are the son of a Death Eater. Although you have not committed any crime, after I catch Regulus, the Dark Lord's lackey, you will have to go to the Ministry of Magic with us for investigation. Turn on the protective magic quickly and don't interfere with public affairs." Shaw's heart ached with anger. "Humph, which pureblood family ordered you to come? Without a search warrant, don't even think about asking me to turn on the protective magic. Even if I take the case to the minister, I am still right." The leading auror didn't expect this kid to be so difficult to deal with. He ordered his men behind him with a fierce look. "Attack, tear open his turtle shell for me." Instantly, various red and blue spells hit the transparent protective cover, and magic auras shone everywhere in the old house, causing ripples and slight vibrations. Shaw's eyes kept twitching. It was really too much. He drew out his wand and prepared to fight back. Suddenly, a pleasant phoenix cry sounded, and then a phoenix patronus emitting milky white light appeared in front of these aurors. The aurors immediately stopped attacking, and the phoenix spoke to the leading auror. "SK Scrimgear, Regulus is dead, don't bother the little guy. After I find out some things, I will go to the Ministry of Magic to clarify and explain the specific reasons." Scrimgear looked at the slowly dissipating Phoenix Patronus and knew that it was sent by Principal Dumbledore to pass on the message. Thinking about Dumbledore's prestige and guarantee, he was a little unwilling, but still waved his hand and said retreat. Then the 7 or 8 aurors operated away one after another. Shaw's expression was uncertain. It was not surprising that Dumbledore knew the situation here. The Ministry of Magic is like a sieve, anyone can mix sand in it, pure blood. Families can, Death Eaters can, and the Order of the Phoenix is the same. Shaw was not worried about this. He was quite powerless just now. If the old bee hadn't intervened, even if he fought to the death, it would be useless. In the end, he would probably be taken to the Ministry of Magic in a mess. Inheriting the noble legacy of Black has great benefits, but naturally there are also many troubles. The Ministry of Magic and the pure-blood nobles are not easy to deal with. There will be many places for fighting wits and courage in the future. These aurors may be sent by some pure-blood families to show him their power. Alas, I still need to grow up quickly. The old bee is considerate this time and made me appreciate it again. If the mountain doesn't turn, the water will turn. If you can't bear it, you will ruin your big plan. Although Shaw was depressed, he could only return to the old house and continue to eat. Chapter 9. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After dinner, Shaw continued to review the first-grade textbooks. If he wanted to stop being bullied, he had to improve his strength. It was a simple truth. After crossing, his memory was also very good. He could not say that he had a photographic memory, but at least he could remember the general idea after reading it once or twice. When he was in the bookstore before, he bought the textbooks of standard spells from grades 1 to 7, and prepared to learn them in advance. After reading the first-grade textbooks, Shaw found a problem. The theory and practice are completely different things. For example, the petrification spell. The spell was recited clearly, and the hand gestures were also very standard, but after practicing for an hour or so, it had no effect at all. In the end, the white mouse used for the experiment was blown up by his thunder element magic. Shaw looked at the bloody white mouse in silence for a long time. Is it because my talent for white magic is too low? I can't study black magic now. Although I have learned the killing curse, I have never dared to try it, fearing that my mind would be infected by negative emotions. Shaw was not discouraged. He recalled the plot of the movie he had watched before. When Miss Know-It-All taught Ron, she needed to chant the spell in a rhythmic way, and in some places, she needed to prolong the tone. It seems that learning spells by yourself is still a bit difficult. Shaw was a little unwilling to give up. After putting down the book, he went to the basement, where there was the library of the Black family. He had taken a rough look before. It was worthy of being a family collection that had been passed down for thousands of years. There were many various books in it, and there were all kinds of books on black and white magic. I found a few general spell books with handwritten annotations on the bookshelf, which should be more instructive than textbooks like whiteboards. I also found a few books about thunder and lightning. Even though the Black family had a rich collection of books, Shaw had to flip through them for a long time before finding these books. It seems that there are very few lightning wizards in this world, and I don't know why. Shaw walked back with the book in his arms, and accidentally saw a book called Deciphering the Cutting-Edge Black Magic. He had an idea. In addition to the max talent for lightning, he could also experiment with his Azkaban black magic talent to see if he could skip the drawbacks of non-standard spells. He found a chair to sit down and read it carefully. He skipped many obscure contents and turned directly to the part introducing spells to learn the first black magic. 10 minutes later, Shaw casually waved his wand and chanted a spell. Corrosive mist. Instantly, a sizzling green mist swelled from the tip of the wand, burning the bookshelf next to him with dense pits. Shaw saw this and quickly cut off the magic output. Fuck, as expected, this black magic talent is very Azkaban. Shaw was very tempted for a while, but after thinking about it seriously, he felt it was unnecessary. It is better not to commit suicide in the current environment, but it is still necessary to choose a few black magics to master for self-defense. If the fight really comes to a dead end, the killing curse can also be used. After screening for a long time in advanced black magic decryption, I chose a spell called Transfiguration. Torture and Blade Throat, plus the corrosion mist just now, it is enough. After carefully pondering for an hour, Shaw got up and went to the spell practice room next door, ready to practice spells, and began to chant spells to a puppet. Transfiguration Torture. Blade Throat. Shaw watched the puppet being twisted by the joints first, and then beheaded directly. Looking at the 3 black magics in the system that have reached the first level, he couldn't help shaking his head. TSK, your talent for black magic is too strong. Shaw thought that his strongest talent was actually his affinity with lightning, so he decided not to put the cart before the horse. He stopped experimenting with black magic and started looking through some books about lightning. After reading the books, Shaw was at a loss. There were actually no lightning spells in these books, and the only weather spell was a thunderstorm that was naturally generated by stirring up water vapor to condense clouds. Isn't this a waste of my talent? Do you want me to create my own lightning spell? But Shaw was still a rookie in the magic world, and his understanding of magic was quite shallow. It was good enough to use the ready-made spells smoothly, not to mention creating his own magic. He didn't want to blow himself up. Luna's mother Pandora was experimenting with new spells and ended up blowing herself up. Shaw sighed a little, and it turned out that there was no such thing as a smooth sailing. At this moment, Cresh's figure teleported and appeared. Master, the Malfoy family sent an owl to invite you to attend the family dinner at Malfoy Manor tomorrow. Shaw was stunned for a moment, then sneered. Oh, interesting. He took the invitation from Cresh and looked at it. Judging from the signature, it was written by Narcissa. The words in the letter were still very sincere, mainly inviting him to visit Malfoy Manor, and the letter also mentioned he said that his uncle and aunt had not fulfilled their responsibilities as elders, and that he had been wandering outside for many years, but the words contained some meanings of inquiring about his life experience. In addition, he said that his little cousin Draco admired him very much, and asked Shaw to take care of each other after he entered Hogwarts. after reading the letter, there was no mention of family property in it. Shaw shook his head and put the letter away. Regardless of whether Narcissa really wanted to renew her family relationship with him, he would not be so stupid as to visit the Malfoy family when he was weak. This was simply gambling with his life on the sincerity of others, and it was not because he valued money and ignored the relationship with relatives that he was dissatisfied with the other party. In fact, Shaw had enough money to spend now. What he really valued was the influence brought by controlling those economic industries. Influence is sometimes equivalent to power. Master, do you want a reply? Go ahead and tell them that I'm going to study in seclusion, I don't have time to go out, and I refuse to see guests. Kresh was stunned for a moment, then said eagerly. Miss Narcissa is the daughter of the Black family, your cousin, and Black and Malfoy have been allies for generations. Shaw waved his hand impatiently. Do as I say. Yes, master. After Kresh left, Shaw took the old wand that he had been using before, which was left by an unknown black ancestor. He continued to practice spells. In addition to practicing a few black spells, he also practiced the Killing Curse, the Bird's Flock and the Ironclad Charm. He didn't want to learn too much, and planned to master these spells before school started. There were both attack and defense, disturbance and control, which were enough, especially the flocks of birds, which Shaw played with in a variety of ways, perfectly replicating all the operations of the previous poker magic show, with a more explosive and spectacular effect. The birds flew slowly in the house like a sky full of stars. Just as Shaw was practicing spells hard, Draco looked eagerly at the letter in his father's hand in Malfoy manner. Dad, how is it? Lucius Malfoy's face was gloomy and he didn't say anything, but the etiquette stick was squeezed by him and creaked. Narcissa took the reply and looked at it, and couldn't help sighing. Alas, Shaw seems to blame me, his aunt, very much. Mom, Shaw won't come to my house as a guest. Narcissa rubbed Draco's hair. Well, your cousin should study hard at home. Draco opened his mouth wide. This, Shaw is already very powerful, he can cast spells without a sound or a wand, why is he still working so hard? Lucius and Narcissa's eyes twitched. In fact, both of them were a little unconvinced that an 11-year-old child had such a high level of spellcasting, but Draco's swearing look, and Hagrid and the undead boy also witnessed it, so the couple had to believe it. It seems that Shaw, the black heir who popped out of nowhere, is indeed a top genius. Lucius thought about it and realized that some things cannot be done to the extreme. The Malfoy family is best at speculation, so he said to Draco. Shaw is so strong and so hard-working, you have to work harder, and you have to build a good relationship with Shaw after you go to school. Draco nodded hurriedly. I know, only by following the strong can you become strong. Okay, it's getting late, you should rest. After Draco went down, Narcissa stammered. How about those properties? Lucius interrupted abruptly. Narcissa, not now. Hey, Sissy, your last name is Malfoy now. Narcissa's expression was a little gloomy. She naturally knew which way to turn her arm. She wanted to ask Shaw to come home to talk and save some face, but she didn't expect Shaw to be so defensive. Lucius saw that his wife was a little sad, and his expression eased. Let's see, even if I am willing to let go, there are still a lot of people in the Pure Blood Society who will hinder it. If Shaw swallows his anger, it's fine. If he has other ideas, this will affect everyone's cake, unless he can become a super strong man. Narcissa's expression was also a little complicated. Pure Blood Society, hey, I will write a letter to persuade the child to be more obedient first. Chapter 10. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Under the drizzle, London's Trafalgar Square is still very lively. On the stage built in front of the fountain, Shaw appeared here again to perform magic, and there were crowds of people around. Since the last performance of The Disappearance of the Living, Shaw's reputation in London has become more prominent, so today's open-air performance has attracted more and more enthusiastic people. Behind Shaw, a magnificent ring of playing cards slowly rotates. He also interacts with the audience and keeps shooting playing cards around, and those playing cards are shot above the audience and slowly float and rotate in place. which is very magical. Many parents put their children on their necks and let them reach the floating playing cards. From time to time, lucky children get special playing cards signed by Shore. Those children are overjoyed and shout, "Brother Shore, I like you." Shore smiled knowingly on the stage, watching the system increase 1 or 2 level 2 faith points from time to time. It turns out that children's favorability is the easiest to brush. Shaw was only happy for a moment, and his expression became ugly again. He just saw a figure behind the crowd, probably an employee of the Ministry of Magic. However, these people did not come to warn him. Thinking about it, it is probably that his magic show is just a simple mobilization of magic power to assist, which is a borderline ball, and he did not use any spells. He did not even dare to use the floating spell or the flying bird flock. Otherwise, he looked at the 800 points of level 1 faith and 90 points of level 2 faith that he had gained again. Shaw secretly clenched his fist. He did not intend to give up his identity as a magician. Now he was only performing in London. When he could perform in England and the world in the future, the faith would come in. However, the biggest obstacle that delayed his magic performance was the International Statute of Secrecy. If he wanted to use more exaggerated magic to assist, it would be illegal. It was just that Shaw did not have the strength and power to openly harvest faith now. After sighing and showing off a few simple magic shows, he spoke to the enthusiastic audience. "Okay, today's performance ends here. In the next year, I will study more exciting magic shows in seclusion. See you next summer." After saying this, Shore waved his hand, and hundreds of playing cards formed 4 pentagram shields in front and behind him again, slowly rotating. The next second, Klesh appeared in the shield formation and disappeared with Shore's apparition. The exploding playing cards erupted in all directions like stars in the sky. All the audience went crazy and scrambled to grab the falling playing cards. Entertainment in the 1990s was too poor, so it has been very popular in London recently to collect Shore's special playing cards. In the crowd, a little girl with fluffy blonde hair kept jumping and shouting excitedly. "Dad, Dad, help me grab Shaw's playing cards, I'm almost done with a deck." "Huh, Hermione, Dad grabbed 3 more for you." But it's still not enough for a deck." "Don't worry, Dad will buy them back and definitely give you a deck as a gift for school admission." Behind the crowd, the 2 staff members of the Department of Misuse of Magic looked at each other after Shaw disappeared. "Nar, do you think this little guy is illegal?" "He's a house elf, so it shouldn't count, right?" "Ahem, he used his instinctive magic to drive the poker before. Is it illegal?" "Well, it doesn't count. After all, it didn't trigger the trace, and no muggle suspects its magic." The 2 asked and answered, avoiding the main point in their words, but in fact they were determined not to convict Shaw. It's no secret that the heir of the Black family has returned, even if no one has been born in this family for a long time and a lot of property has been embezzled. The network of relationships that can be woven is still very deterrent, and Black is related to many pure-blood noble officials. There is no need for 2 ordinary employees of the Ministry of Magic to offend Shaw, a genius who can mobilize magic silently and without a wand at a young age. For such a trivial matter, the enforcement of the Ministry of Magic's laws is very flexible. In the original book, Harry Potter's bragging about his aunt was also suppressed by Minister Fudge. When Arthur Weasley revised the law on the abuse of magic items, he also knew to leave a back door for himself, so it is reasonable for these 2 employees of the Ministry of Magic to enforce the law in this way. Shaw teleported to an ordinary bedroom in a private house, which was his previous base. His magic assistant Albert had been waiting here in advance, and saw Shaw coming down from upstairs in confusion. "Sure, you?" Shaw waved his hand to interrupt. "Don't worry about this, listen to me next." Albert scratched his bald head and didn't ask more questions. He still believed in the ability of this little boy. He was very poor before, and it was the other party who gave him a chance. "Okay, please tell me what to do." Shore handed a briefcase and a stack of information to Albert. "This is £1 million and some company information. You go to set up an investment company, and then start investing or buying stocks in the list of companies I provided." At this time, £1 million was an astronomical figure. Albert took the briefcase with trembling hands and looked at Shaw in disbelief. He was surprised why Shaw suddenly became so rich, and was excited about the trust the other party gave him. After a long time, he said carefully, "Yes, boss." Shore was very satisfied with this capable bald middle-aged man. He had examined the other party's character and ability and was worthy of his own cultivation. He was not going to give up on the Muggle world, and now he was preparing for the big goal in the future. As for where the £1 million came from, it's not easy. Just take out a few antiques without magic from the inventory of the Black family, and they are all hundreds of years old. "Boss, what's the name of the company?" "Well, the registered company is called Card Throne. I will increase investment in the future. You work hard, I believe in you. By the way, I won't live here in the future. I will contact you if there is anything." "Okay, that's it." After Shaw gave a word of instruction, he stepped upstairs, leaving Albert with a look of disappointment. He secretly decided to work hard to live up to Shaw's great trust. On the second floor, Shaw took the polyjuice potion handed over by Klesh and added the hair that he had just secretly taken from Albert. Seeing the polyjuice potion turned into a sticky black liquid, Shaw drank it in one gulp, holding back his nausea. Then, Shaw's facial muscles were agitated for a while, and his body was slowly rising, and finally turned into Albert's appearance. He picked up a set of adult clothes and put them on, and then put on a black cloak that covered his head and face. "Master, why do you have to go to Nocturne Alley in person? There are many dark wizards there, and it's very dangerous. It's better to let Klesh go." Shore took the suitcase containing gold galleons and alchemical materials from Klesh's hand. "This transaction is very important to me. Whether many of my plans can be realized depends on this action. If you, a familiar face, go to do it, Borgenberg, that pure-blooded old ghost, will definitely know that I asked you to go, and things will have many more twists and turns." Klesh immediately blamed himself again. It's all Klesh's fault for being useless. Klesh deserves to die. Before Klesh was about to punish himself, Shaw ordered. "Didn't I assign you a task?" Yes, Master, I'll go buy the Felixir and other potions right away." "Well, take me to Nocturne Alley first." Klesh quickly grabbed Shaw's hand. Swoosh! The two disappeared in the bedroom on the second floor in an instant. At 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Shaw returned to the Black Mansion. Dealing with a shrewd and greedy old wizard is really a painstaking thing. It costs a lot of money to get him to do things for him and keep it secret, but Shaw felt it was worth it. After returning, he did not rest much and continued to study. No matter what schemes and big and small goals, strength is needed to escort in the end. In the study, Shaw looked at the books marked with notes and annotations. Without the guidance of a teacher, it was a relatively foolproof teaching. The ups and downs of chanting spells were annotated very clearly. Although the white magic was still not particularly smooth, it was not as difficult as reading the standard spells textbook. He read common spells and practical magic in the morning, and studied other textbooks in the afternoon. In this way, more than 10 days passed, and Shaw learned a lot of common spells. He made progress. But there was a trouble that confused Shaw and could not be effectively solved so far, that is the problem of magic attribute. Shaw's affinity for lightning element is full, so all spells have lightning attribute. Even if there is no lightning spell to learn, he will still bring lightning element when casting other spells. It is completely possessed by the collapse of the country. If it is an attack spell, it is naturally no problem. Let his spell have electric shock and paralysis effect, which is more sharp against the enemy, but if it is a non-attack spell, then Barbie will be deducted. For example, when using cleaning, the furniture is indeed cleaned, but the furniture is also full of small pits burned. For example, the floating spell, after the object is floated, the surface of the object will also have some slight damage. Shaw does not know how to restrain these lightning element magic, but he knows that people with superb magic, such as green people like Devo, who play more destructive black magic like Fiendfire, can control it freely. So in addition to studying normally, Shaw has been looking up relevant content in his collection of books recently, but unfortunately he has not gained much. Slowly, time passed quickly. A week before school started, at 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Shaw was still practicing spells in the underground practice room, and Kresh suddenly came to report. Principal Dumbledore is visiting and is waiting in the square.